Hello, welcome to coronavirus update by Heerak show for May 12, 2020. I wonder if you saw the Senate hearing today, but if you did, you probably noticed that many of the things that were said affirmed what I've been saying. So you know the value of this show. So what you're listening to right now is Jordanian music. As you know, I lived in Israel for over 3 years, and Jordan is just right next door to Israel. So I had the pleasure of visiting Jordan, and they have really great music. Wouldn't you like this music? And as you know, this week is graduation week for many schools. It's graduation week for University of Pennsylvania. I was in the organizing committee for the alumni weekend at the University of Pennsylvania, alumni weekend, but it got canceled. So unfortunately, we're not having it at University of Pennsylvania. And this week is also a graduation weekend for Georgetown University. As you know, I'm a class of 2020, graduating with masters from School of Nursing and Health Studies with a concentration in clinical nurse leader. So I'll be a certified clinical nurse leader when I graduate in the summer of 2020, this summer. Many universities are looking to have online graduation. And you see the photographs there from Georgetown University graduation last year, 2019. And so it's a complete different reality this year. And let's go on to daily death figures. Before I do, I wanted to explain why I'm playing Jordanian music. Right by the video, you can see my friend Noor Laswi. Noor Laswi is from Jordan, and she did her master's degree at Georgetown University, Wall School of Foreign Service last year. And she was an executive board member of Georgetown Collaborative Diplomacy Initiative during the 2018-2019 academic year. And as you know, I was a executive board member for Georgetown Collaborative Diplomacy Initiative for 2018 to 2019 academic year as well. So Noor Laswi and I were in the same executive committee together, along with Jared Davis, who's the current vice president this year. And so Max Gerlach was the president of Georgetown Collaborative Diplomacy Initiative in 2018 to 2019. He interviewed me, he invited me to join Georgetown Collaborative Diplomacy Initiative. And they're, Noor and Max, they were in the Arabic Studies Master's Program at Georgetown Wall School of Foreign Service. And I became the president in 2019 to 2020 for Georgetown Collaborative Diplomacy Initiative. And I was the first non-Wall School of Foreign Service student to be the president of a Walsh School of Foreign Service Group. And the Walsh School of Foreign Services School is Walsh School of Foreign Service is celebrating their 100th anniversary this year. And same with Georgetown University, which graduate school, they're celebrating their 100th year anniversary, and they had all these wonderful programs planned for the spring semester. But unfortunately, because of COVID-19, it was canceled. Um, so that's really sad. Actually, this year's graduation ceremony is very special because it's coincides with the 100th year anniversary of Georgetown University Graduate School. Um, so it's really sad, because it's a centennial celebration that would not be happening at Georgetown, haven't been happening. So it's really sad for Georgetown. Um, but Noor graduated in 2019. So as I shared before, because I'm the vice president of graduate student government, GradGov, for 2019 to 2020 academic year, and I was elected to be vice president around March or April of 2019. In May, during graduation time, I attended all the graduation ceremonies last year in 2019, just to be there for other graduate students who are graduating, their parents. It's just kind of like, I'm very serious about the positions that I hold, like vice president of GradGov. So I have worked very hard to to accommodate graduate students and their parents during the graduation ceremonies. And it lasts like several days because we have different schools and each school has their own graduation ceremony. So Noor graduated from Wall School of Foreign Service. So I went to the Wall School of Foreign Service graduation and then, congratulated Noor. She's now back in Jordan. Hey, Noor. She's probably watching this show from Jordan. And Yeah, she's very intelligent. She's amazing. So I'm sure she's going to make Jordan a better country as a leader there. She's Jordanian national, and so that's why she's back home in Jordan. She was actually also an executive board member for graduate student government from 2018 to 2019, and she actually encouraged me to apply for GradGov executive position. So I applied for that, and I ran for vice president position, and I won. So I'm very happy about that. Yeah. Um, and In 2019, obviously, the graduation ceremony was amazing. I'm so glad I went. I went to help others, obviously. I kind of blocked out like a whole week, graduation week at Georgetown, to be there for graduate students, their families, guests, because I'm the vice president of GradGov. And so, I was there just to serve people. But I'm so glad I attended every Georgetown graduation ceremony for every school, each and every school. Because this year there are no graduation ceremonies. So had I not gone last year, I would not have known what Georgetown graduation ceremony is like. And I was very happy for others. I was happy as if I were graduating last year. Obviously, I'm graduating this year, and I'm very happy to be graduating, except I won't be experiencing the graduation ceremonies. But since I attended all the graduation ceremonies last year, I feel like, I know what it is. And I guess, God has a way of like, watching out for me. I guess he knew that I wasn't going to be attending my own graduation this year because of COVID. And I decided to serve people, but God kind of led me to serve people during the graduation week at Georgetown last year, and I get something out of it too, I guess, right? I mean, it was all work, basically unpaid work as vice president of GradGov, helping people. But it was like 40 hours of unpaid work last year, but it was worth it. I enjoy helping people, so that's why I ran to be vice president of graduate student government in 2019 to 2020, and I helped a lot of graduate students this year too through my term. So I'm very happy about that. I organized a graduate student senate in August and September. I contacted every director of master's program, every director of PhD programs, doctorate of nursing programs, all the doctoral programs throughout Georgetown. We're talking about tremendous number of programs and directors that I contacted. So every director of every program knows me. Um, because of the professional work that I did to organize graduate student government, they generally nominated the best student from their program to be the senator. So yeah, so I've sacrificed a lot to build the graduate government senate. And at every event, I always greeted graduate senators and try to build consensus and unity graduate student government. We are a lot of diverse people. Noor is Muslim from Jordan. We have a lot of people from Muslim countries who are Muslim and Christian, and there we have some Jews from Muslim countries as well. So those are three main religions, mostly Muslim, but some Christians and few Jews from Muslim countries. And so, I tried to build consensus. So I worked a lot with the senators to encourage them, and I was very close with Noor, and so I really like Noor. So I miss Noor. Hey, Noor, I miss you. So hopefully, um, maybe I could visit Jordan and see her. I wanted to do that, maybe this summer, because I was thinking about going back to Israel, visiting my Israeli friends, like Serge Wardman, who's there. I have a lot of other Israeli friends that I'll introduce you maybe in the future. So keep watching this show. Um, because you don't know when I'm going to be sharing talking about my friends and kind of showing their photos and stuff. So yeah, check in every day. And then I was going to hop on over to Jordan and visit Noor, but well, this summer I'm just stuck here. I was going to go to Germany for European Association of Biblical Studies conference in August, and go to University of Wuppertal and see all my friends there, who are members of the European Association of Biblical Studies, present my paper on animals in the Bible. That's what I was going to do. But yeah, I guess that's not going to happen. And I was going to present my paper at University of Durham in September at the British New Testament Society conference, which I try to go every year. That's not going to happen. And I presented my paper at the University of Durham again, before, a few years ago, about a decade ago. Because they go around the best universities, and Durham is one of the best universities, University of Durham. So I went and presented my paper last time they had it there, like a decade ago. And I really enjoyed being in the city and British New Testament professors who teach New Testament British universities, England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland, like are my colleagues and my friends. They're, they're, so I mean, it's like family, so it's like family reunion once a year. So I was like looking forward to going to Durham, but and James Dunn, he is one of the world's famous professors of New Testament, and he taught at University of Durham for many decades, and he's a great guy. I love Jamie Dunn. I know Jamie Dunn obviously because I was at Cambridge University for 5 years, and I know all the top New Testament professors in England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. They know me. They like me. So many of them wanted me to just kind of settle down in England, become professor like at Cambridge or Oxford or University of Durham or somewhere. But I would have, I told you, if I married the British royalty from my church, who I really liked, who I dated, the history undergraduate who I met at the library, and watched that episode from a while ago. It didn't work out, unfortunately, but if it did, I would have probably settled down at Cambridge University, taught there, and then, you know, uh, live the gentry life because, she's like countess or something like that. So I don't know what that would make me. Would I become a count if I married her? But, I would have kind of settled down into gentry life and hobnob with all the nobles. And, her grandfather's in Scotland with the castle. So in Scotland, and she's Scottish royal blood, and Italian royal blood. And so she's like half Italian, half Scottish. And it's so funny because her mother and father, I met them. They're all tall, you know, and the Busy's taller than me, and you know, she's really pretty, with beautiful blue eyes, and both of her parents are lawyers, um, and they both went to Cambridge University, and they're like beautiful people. They both look like models, you know. I mean, I could see why Busy is so beautiful because mother and father, they're like models, and they're like royalty and like no, no you know, like nobility and wealthy, and also you know Cambridge guys are smart. I mean, it's like a perfect family, you know. And oh my gosh, you know, it's funny because there is a girl in my clinical nurse leader program, and you know we have we're kind of down to 25 now, but so there are 25 of us graduating in May. Um, at Georgetown. We started out with more than that, but it's a very intense program, so you have to be completely focused. And so, you know, I talked to you about that. And as long as you're focused, there's no problem, you know. But sometimes people, you know, don't get as focused, and they kind of start losing focus, and then becomes problematic because it's a very intense program. I mean, it's called Clinical Nurse Leader Program. They're training you to be a clinical nurse leader, like leader of all the nurses. So this program, Masters in Clinical Nurse Leader uh, program, is meant to train people who are going to become leaders in like a hospital unit. So let's say I start working as uh, a nurse at Georgetown MedStar Hospital in the cardiac intensive care unit. That's where I really want to go. But it's very hard to get in because a lot of people want to go there. But let's say I go to cardiac intensive care unit. Clinical nurse leaders generally would become like the leader of all the nurses in the intensive care unit. I mean, that's the purpose of this program, to train nurse leaders in the clinical setting, meaning in the hospital setting. So to manage all the nurses in the unit, whether it's the cancer unit, oncology unit, whether it's the orthopedic, you know, if you have broken bones or whatever, orthopedic unit, or whether it's a cardiac unit, like you have heart attacks and stuff like that. So clinical nurse leader would generally be like the leader who is in the clinical nurse unit, and the clinical nurse leader would basically uh, train the nurses, nurses in the unit with a special like implementation, nursing intervention. So let's, for example, I did a research and I shared with you on my Twitter page. I did a poster project. I did a research and did a poster project and presented that at Georgetown University as a final year project. And it was on uh, targeted temperature management for out of hospital cardiac arrest patient. So those are the technical terms. In layman's terms, basically, let's say you have a heart attack at home, and a lot of people die. They say something like 40% are dead. They're dead on arrival at the hospital. So let's say you have a heart attack and then you call 911 and they come as fast as they can. They take you to the hospital. Something like 40 people are dead by the time they arrive in the hospital. 30 or 40%. Like they arrive dead. So they might have died like the beginning of the ambulance ride, or they might have died in the middle of the ambulance ride, or they might have died at the end of the uh, ambulance ride, or maybe they arrived alive, but after they were kind of pushed along. I don't know if you've seen like ER TV show. If you've been like pushed along, and they might have died while they're pushing, the people are pushing them to check in at the hospital in the emergency room. They might have died like before they were assessed. So dead on arrival is like by the time the nurse in the emergency department checks the patient's already dead. So, um, you know, and so they said, with cardiac events, something like 30 to 40%, or sometimes more, depending on the year, depending on the hospital, obviously, depending on the city, depending on the study, because you can't study 100% of the people who have heart attacks, right? So they choose like 10,000 or 20,000 or whatever. It could be anywhere from like 30 to 40%. It could be more. They they arrive dead. Yeah, so it's very serious stuff. Obviously, I went to Georgetown to do my master's at the School of Nursing with a focus on clinical nurse leader program to be certified as a clinical nurse leader. And all of us get certified as clinical nurse leader when we graduate. We've taken a certificate exam in the beginning week of August. That's like a national certificate exam. Um, so and all of us are going to pass. Everybody always passes because Georgetown University's 2-year program is very good. So no one fails. But um, so if you're thinking about becoming a clinical nurse leader, make sure you apply. Like if you're in a bachelor's program somewhere in a Virginia university, like Virginia Commonwealth University, or University of Virginia, or Dominion University, and you're interested in becoming a clinical nurse leader, apply to Georgetown. You won't regret it. It's a very good program. Yes, I'm going to do some advertisement for my program people. They didn't pay me or anything, but it's a good program, and I want to let you know about it. So when you watch this show, you know about it and you apply, right? Maybe you didn't know about it before. I didn't know about it. I didn't hear about it before. But when I was applying programs, I researched like over 100 schools. And then I found out about it, and then I came into the program. I'm like, this is such a great program. How come nobody talks about it? So I'm going to talk about it in this show. So by the time, the next application cycle comes through, everybody will know about it. Because you're watching this show, I'm constantly talking about it because I'm very proud to be part of the graduating class of 2020 for clinical nurse leader. There are 25 of us elite clinical nurse leaders, who were trained by Georgetown's best of the best, in the nursing profession in the United States, trained us. So yeah. Um, so my project, I did that with Professor Kelly Anderson and Professor Margaret Noland, and they're amazing professors. And Professor Kelly Anderson and Professor Margaret Nolan too. But Professor Kelly Anderson was like the leader, instrumental in creating a PhD program in nursing at Georgetown. We have doctorate of nursing practice, DNP program. So we do have a doctoral program, but we don't have a PhD in nursing program. And Professor Kelly Anderson, who is a cardiology specialist, and she gives papers around around the country and throughout the world. On heart issues, and she was instrumental in creating the PhD program in nursing. So she's amazing. She's wonderful person, and she's a great professor. And Professor Margaret Nolan, she's amazing too. And I actually took most number of nursing classes at Georgetown with Professor Margaret Nolan. And in a sense, like I'm her product. She taught me the most. I mean, she taught me med-surg nursing, and she taught this 1-year research class. She was the previous director of clinical nurse leader program, and this year, Professor Idilma Yearwood became the clinical nurse leader director. So, and I think Professor Yearwood was the director of the BSN program, Bachelor of Science in Nursing program last year. This year, she's director of a clinical nurse leader program. And Professor Yearwood is a mental health expert. She's like one of the leading experts in the nation in the United States. So if you're in mental health nursing, you know Professor Idilma Yearwood, and she taught me mental health nursing. And as I shared with you, I worked in the clinicals at Dominion Hospital, which is in like Arlington Falls Church area, like in the border area, in the summer of 2019. And Professor Yearwood worked for the longest time in New York. She distinguished herself as a mental health expert in New York City. And then she was recruited by Georgetown University because she's so good. I hope nobody in her family died. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Professor Yearwood's family members passed away in New York. Because a lot of people are dying in New York. So, but I hope like no one died. You know, I mean, I hope, but somebody probably died. I mean, she's probably not going to share it with us. But yeah, I hope no one died. But if somebody died, I hope Professor Yearwood is able to manage emotionally through that. I mean, it must be hard because like especially if you have a lot of relatives. I've heard people who lose like whole family. Like there are families who lose like 2, 3 children to COVID, or like mother and father to COVID in New York City. I mean, I guess that's coming to Virginia, because Virginia started a little bit later, because epicenter is New York and it started to spread from New York. So now New Jersey has a very high death, um, and Massachusetts and areas near New York, but it's coming this direction. Philadelphia now has fairly high, Pennsylvania has pretty high. So probably about this time, probably in 2 weeks, we will be where New Jersey was like 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago. Because it's an exponential growth. It doesn't go like straight up. It goes like this and then it jumps up death rates. So in the beginning, you have like one person dying, 2, and then 5, 10, 20, and then it starts jumping to like 100, 200, 300, or 400, 500, 1,000, and so per day, I mean, so it's like jumps. So Mayor Bowser of DC thinks that we're going to hit the peak around June. So peak meaning like, you have like 300, 400 people dying every day. And New Jersey is experiencing that. And some are saying they are at the peak. Others are saying they're not really at the peak. We don't know. But so I think we're going to get there. Virginia and Maryland and DC, we're going to have like 300 people dying per day, probably around, like if Mayor Bowser's right, like in June, July, it could be later. Let's see, but it's going to be horrific because we're talking about 3 states, Maryland, Virginia, and District of Columbia. It's a district, but District of Columbia, and you have like 300 deaths per day or more. I mean, Maryland already has like almost 100 deaths per day. Sometimes it does. So if we have like 300 deaths in Maryland, 300 deaths in Virginia, and 300 deaths in DC, we're like 900 deaths per day. And that's probably coming in like June, July. Yeah, yeah, it's going to be horrific. It's coming. Because it's a virus, it has a cycle. So right now we're just kind of picking up slowly, but we're going to get there in like a month and a half, 2 months. Yeah, it's going to be horrific. I mean, you got to prepare yourself mentally. It's like psychological. I'm telling you now because right now you're not seeing that many deaths. I mean, there are deaths. It's like 40, 50 deaths per day, on average in Virginia. So you don't really see it. And sometimes it drops down a little bit. Maryland is like 70, 80 deaths per day. So you don't always see it. It is concentrated in like Montgomery County and St. George's County in Maryland, which are closer to DC. And the deaths here are kind of concentrated in Fairfax County. Some are happening in Arlington and Alexandria. But since it's only about 40 deaths per day, and there's some deaths outside of this area, you don't really feel it yet. But like in June, July, when like 300, 400 people start dying a day in Virginia, and since the epicenter is Fairfax County, Arlington and Alexandria, basically Virginia's 8th district, my district. I'm running as a U.S. congressman as an independent candidate in Virginia's 8th district. Um, so, um, so my district is the deadliest, probably going to be the deadliest district. It could be the 10th district because Fairfax County is number 1 for COVID death, and then it's Prince William County, I think, which is like right by there. That's where the Quantico base is. The first case in Virginia started in Quantico base with a Marine, and so who had a vacation in Egypt. He got it from that vacation, and that's the same origin for the COVID virus from Maryland. The first case in Maryland was from the same like Egyptian cruise, and so yeah, so there's going to be like 300-400 people dying probably in June or July per day, every day. So in 1 week you have like, maybe 1,500 to 2,500 people die per week. So that's coming in June. And since this is the epicenter, Virginia's 8th district is the epicenter, it could be the Virginia 10th district. But I mean, it's either Virginia 10th district or Virginia's 8th district with the epicenter. No, actually, it may be Virginia's 11th district or Virginia's 8th district. But it's one of those. Virginia's 8th, 10th, and 11th, that's the epicenter area. I still think the epicenter is Virginia's 8th district because we have Arlington and Alexandria. Virginia's 8th district includes all of Arlington County. I live in Arlington. All of the city of Alexandria, all of city of Falls Church, and parts of Fairfax County, kind of northern part. So I think we're the epicenter. Yeah, so when 300 to 400 people are dying every day in June, you could expect probably like 100 to 200 die every day in Virginia's 8th district, Virginia 10th district, Virginia's 11th district. These 3 districts will have like 200 deaths every day. So that's coming in June. So you got to prepare for yourself psychologically because they say about 1/3 of the people die from, like elderly home. 2/3 die outside. So as numbers increase, you're gonna have people dying who are not living in nursing homes. So you have your neighbors die. You're gonna have like your cousins die, your friends die, your coworkers die, maybe your children die because there's a new strain of COVID in New York, what I'm calling the New York virus, which is infected like over 80 children, and it's been killing like 1 child per day since last week. And that's coming to Virginia as well. So like a month ago, children were dying, but now like 1 child is dying per day in New York. And that number is growing. So that's going to come to Virginia. And so we're going to start having that too. Once New York virus hits, it's going to start spreading among the children. So, we'll have like 1 or 2 children die per day. Yeah, so that's coming in June. So you got to prepare yourself psychologically. Don't think that this isn't coming. It's coming. It's a virus. Every state is going through the same cycle. The death rate keeps increasing. Some faster than others, but it's the same cycle. So it's coming to Virginia. Yeah, don't doubt it. It's coming. So that's going to be in June or July that we're going to have like 100 to 200 people dying in Virginia's 8th district. So you will definitely know someone who dies. It could be your child, it could be your mother, but people are going to start dying all over here. In June, July, August, you're going to see a lot of people dying here in Virginia's 8th district. A lot of people are already dying in St. George's County and Montgomery County, but it's going to like quadruple. It's going to be like 10, 20 times more in the summer. So you're going to have like 100, 200 people dying in this area, those areas too. Yeah, so it's going to be very, very sad and depressing. You're going to probably have some people committing suicide, probably nurses who blame themselves for the infection, because the problem is this, right? With nurses, they feel guilty. And this happened in Italy too. A lot of nurses in Italy committed suicide. Um, the reason that nurses feel guilty is they know, and doctors too, there are doctors who committed suicide. There's a doctor in New York who committed suicide who's like head of the ER department who's from Virginia. Um, because doctors and nurses feel guilty because they know that they are spreading COVID in the hospital, not just COVID, other infections. Because it's not their fault, it's not the nurse's fault, it's not the doctor's fault. It's actually fault of American manufacturing, which is not producing enough PPEs. And it's the fault of, like, New York Governor Cuomo, um, all the governors, and also the federal government. Sorry, President Trump, but I'm not going to lie. If there are not enough PPEs, whether because the federal government is not producing enough, or whether a state government is not producing enough, then nurses will have to reuse their PPE. And I've shared with you before, if you use PPE with more than one patient at a time, then you will definitely be spreading all kinds of bacteria and germs to other patients. So let's say Noor is a patient at Georgetown MedStar Hospital, and I'm taking care of her because I'm hoping to take care of COVID-19 patients in August. That's when everybody's going to start dying. I mean, like every day we're going to have like 10, 20 people die in Georgetown MedStar Hospital from COVID. So that's when that would have started like in June. So by the time I go in August, you're going to have like nurses who probably, some of them might have already committed suicide, doctors, because it's going to be very messy if this goes at the same projectile. I mean, it could change, but if it goes at the same projectile, you're going to have nurses, doctors committing suicide or dying from COVID or whatever, all over DC, every hospital. So that's going to start in June, probably like mid-June. And so by the time I start working, if I get hired at Georgetown in August, it would have been like a month into like dozens of deaths per day in these hospitals, and the nurses will be demoralized. Yeah, it's going to be messy. But the problem is this, as you know, I've been saying we need to produce 1 trillion PPE per day, and America's manufacturing is not pulling weight. President Trump is not pulling his weight on this one. Sorry, President Trump. I voted for you in 2016. I'll vote for you again in 2020. I'm planning on it. But you need to pull your weight on this one. And Governor Cuomo is not pulling his weight because each state should be producing PPE. You cannot just have federal government produce it. We're talking about 1 trillion PPEs per day we need. So each state has to produce millions per day. They have to find a way to produce millions per day. And that's not happening. So, I mean, right now, at least on the PPE issue, personal protective equipment, there is not a single leader who's pulling his weight or her weight. And that's a serious problem because there's going to be a lot of deaths. As you know, I'm predicting that there will be at least 1 million Americans dead by August. And part of the reason is this. Every hospital, because there isn't enough PPE, you can't use 1 PPE per day. It's not an army uniform. Like, a lot of people think like it's an army uniform. You wear a uniform, you wear it for the whole day. It's not like that. Like, PPE are created to be disposable because you use it once and you have to throw it away. You're not supposed to wear it again. So let's say I wear a mask at Georgetown MedStar Hospital and I treat Noor, let's say she has COVID-19. I go into her room and I take care of her. I'm wearing a mask, I'm wearing a gown, I'm wearing, gloves, and I go in. And I go in for like 5 minutes to take care of her, give her medication or whatever. Before I come out, I have to throw everything away. I'm not supposed to bring anything out. I'm not supposed to be bringing mask out of that room. I'm not supposed to be bringing a gown out of that room. I'm certainly not supposed to bring my gloves out of that room. Because the moment I bring anything out of that room, I'm bringing infection, whatever Noor has. She may have COVID-19, but she may have other bacteria, other infections. So if I use a mask again, outside of the mask has all kinds of infection on it, like COVID-19, maybe MRSA, all kinds of, MRSA is methicillin resistant Staph aureus, which is like, it's resistant against antibiotics, methicillin. So they started using vancomycin for patients who are resistant to methicillin. So methicillin, so first there was Staph aureus, right? So doctors used methicillin to kill Staph aureus in patients. Over time, methicillin evolved because Staph aureus evolved. Staph aureus is like a bacteria. All bacteria and all viruses evolved to protect themselves, to survive. So over time, Staph aureus evolved to resist methicillin. So after a while, methicillin, which is like a antibiotic, could not kill a Staph aureus because it has evolved. And the evolved version of Staph aureus, which exists with non-evolved, so it's like you have non-evolved versions and evolved versions coexisting. So, and a person can have both. Like one person can have resistant one and non-resistant one. So if you take medicine, it may kill the non-resistant one, but you're not going to kill the resistant one. So medicillin resistant Staph aureus evolved from Staph aureus that used to be, you could have killed that with medicillin. But because it evolved, it became resistant, meaning you can't kill it with medicillin. So it became medicillin resistant Staph aureus, which is MRSA for short, MRSA for short. So they start using vancomycin, which is another kind of antibiotic, to kill MRSA, MRSA, because medicillin can no longer kill it. So they start using vancomycin, another type of antibiotic, to kill this bacteria. And it worked. It started killing it. Then MRSA started to evolve. Yes. Yes. It started to evolve. And then we now have vancomycin resistant bacteria. Like VRE, because it's called the vancomycin resistant enterococcus. So there are versions of bacteria that develop which are resistant to vancomycin. And so you see bacteria evolve, viruses evolve to protect themselves so they could survive. Antibiotics, antiviral medication. So you have to expect COVID-19 to develop a strain. It's going to be resistant to whatever bacterial or antiviral medication we're going to throw at it. So it may like weaken it now, but eventually it will have no effect because COVID-19 will evolve to defend itself against that antiviral medication. In which case, it's going to be strong against other antiviral medications of the same characteristic. And it's going to kill more people. Like MRSA kills more people than just regular Staph aureus. It's more powerful. And so the more drugs you throw at these viruses and bacteria, they become stronger. That's the scary part. And so, and that's why now the children are getting killed by COVID-19. Although 1 month ago they weren't. Because in New York, it's very concentrated. A lot of people are dying every day, and they keep throwing medication. Eventually, the strain becomes more violent, and it developed ways to kill people. And eventually, they develop into a way to penetrate through defenses of children, young people in their teens, 20s, So that's what's happening right now in New York. It's like a biological experimentation there in New York. That's why I'm asking President Trump to quarantine New York off, because so many people have died in New York. The virus there have evolved and mutated in powerful ways, and it's different. I mean, they have the original strain as well, but they have these mutated strains that's not going to spread throughout the United States. The mutated strains are going to spread slower because the original strains have already gone from New York everywhere in the 50 states. But the mutated states will eventually hit all 50 states if you don't quarantine New York. And there's going to be constant mutations because New York is continual deaths, right? And it's not even open yet. Once it opens, I mean, geez, you will see what will happen. Yeah, so that's where we are. We do not have a cure. Antiviral medications are not cured. They're just kind of reducing some symptoms, but it's not curing it. We don't have a vaccine, and we don't have a PPE to protect people. We need to get like N95 masks for everybody. So we give everybody N95 mask and surgical masks. That's what we need to do. That's why I'm saying we need to create a 1 trillion PPEs per day if you want to live. I guess people don't want to live that much. I mean, Wire Factory is not creating 1 trillion PPEs. I mean, if you really want to live, that's what you need to do. But I guess you don't have incentive to live. If you're not creating 1 trillion PPE per day, obviously you don't really have that much desire to live, right? Because you make a little mask, that's like what, 20%. It's going to protect you like 20%. I mean, it's better than 0%. But you make a mask out of cloth. I mean, that's going to protect you 20%. That's why a lot of people who go shopping, food shopping with their cloth masks are still getting COVID, because it protects you 20%. Can you imagine using a condom that only protects you 20%? There's an 80% chance that your wife will get pregnant if you're family planning and you don't want her to get pregnant. Obviously, you shouldn't be having sex with someone who's not your wife, right? According to the Bible, but yeah. So would you use a condom that's like 20% effective? Well, that's what you're using now. When you make a mask at home, it's better than not using a condom at all, but you're using a condom that's only 20% effective. You have like 8 out of 10 chance of getting COVID, even with the glove cover. So, but it's 20% is better than 0%. So what I'm saying is, let's give people like surgical mask, the mask that, doctors and nurses generally wear, but that's not as protective as N95 mask. That's the mask that, governors and presidents wear. Yeah. I'm just saying, let's make that available to everybody. And in order to do that, we need 1 trillion made per day. We have 350 million Americans, right? You need more than one per day. Everybody needs more than one per day. You can't use the same thing for like 24 hours. So when the nurse goes into a patient's room even for 5 minutes, she's supposed to throw everything away and then come out and use brand new ones next time she goes in, even if she's going in 10 minutes later. Because let's say you bring masks that you use out. There's already bacteria that collected from the room. Now you brought it out to the hallway. Now there's different bacteria in the hallway that's going to start sticking to it. Let's say you go to another patient's room with it. Now you're going to have other bacteria. Let's say you go back to the same patient 30 minutes later. Now you have all these different bacteria from the hallway, from other patient's room, and you're bringing that back into the patient that you were with 30 minutes ago. And the patient would die from that, all the bacteria there. Because the patient is weak with COVID-19. She's highly susceptible to other bacteria. And there's like millions of different types of bacteria and viruses and fungi. They could all kill you. And so especially if you're weak, your immune system is down. Do you see why so many people die? And so the best way to ensure that we decrease the death numbers in the hospitals is to make sure that nurses have enough PPEs to throw away after using like 5 minutes. That will reduce death by thousands. That alone will reduce deaths by thousands. Yes, if you could throw, you know, do you know the story of Nightingale, the first nurse? Just read the story. In the Crimean War, she told everybody to wash their hands. She found out that if you wash your hands with soap, then you will not spread the infection. So what was happening was nurses were treating soldiers who were injured in a war, and they weren't really washing their hands from patient to patient because they're busy and there are a lot of soldiers who are injured. And they found out that you were bringing this soldier's germs, like bacteria and viruses, to another soldier, and they were dying from the infection. So basically, nurses who were helping the patients were killing the patients because they weren't washing their hands and they're touching different patients at the same time. And they were spreading bacteria and viruses around between different patients who have different bacteria. And they may share some bacteria. And that's why it was killing the soldiers. Once the nurses start washing their hands, death dropped. Death of soldiers dropped. So whereas before washing hands, if 100 soldiers were infected, 80 of them would die. I mean, if 100 of the soldiers are wounded, 80 of them would die out of 100 because of infection. They don't die from the wound. They die from the infection. The wound can heal. But if your infection is there, you die. I mean, it's like the current ICU. Most patients die from infection. They don't die from their wound. Infection, I will talk more about infection another day, but once you have infection, it becomes sepsis, and then you go into septic shock and you die. Septic shock develops into ARDS and MODS. ARDS is acute respiratory distress syndrome, and a lot of COVID patients are dying from ARDS because they're getting multiple infections, and that destroys the lung. So it's not just COVID-19, it's other bacteria. I mean, it could be just COVID-19 too, but if you have other bacteria, I mean, you're good as dead in some cases. That's why in New York Hospital, you had 80% of people in respirators dying. Because if you make the nurses use only one PPE per day, then you're guaranteeing everybody will die. I mean, those who don't die by the grace of God. I mean, you could 100% die. So in the wars, soldiers had gunshot. They could easily survive that if they don't get infected, but because they get infected, they die. Like minor wounds, like on the arm. You're not going to die from that unless you're infected. Then you could die because infection spreads throughout the body and it could destroy your organs. So people are dying from infections, not from the wound in the war, right? And so Florence Nightingale discovered, like, if you could just wash your hands and keep things clean, then patients who are wounded will not get infected and that they won't die. This one simple thing, just washing hands, washing the bad cloth, washing, throwing, kind of taking dirty clothes off of patients and putting clean clothes on them, that reduced the death rate. So before doing this, out of 100 soldiers who were wounded, 80 were dying from infection, not from the wound. I mean, some patients die from the wound. Like, if you get a gunshot in the heart, you're going to die. But there are a lot of patients whose injuries are not life-threatening, but they get infected, they will die. And I'll talk about infection another day, a little bit more in detail. So keep watching the show. after Florence Nightingale, the first nurse, obviously there were quote nurses before. Florence Nightingale is the first professional nurse. We say, but I mean, there were nurses from time eternal, since the beginning of time, right? But once Florence Nightingale started washing everything, hands, cloth, bed sheets, death dropped. So out of 100, only 20 were dying. So there's a difference of 60 people per 100 people. So when you have 1,000, we're talking about 600 people. Do you see what I'm saying? So the fact that nurses are forced to use PPE because American manufacturing is too lazy to produce enough PPE is probably the reason why there's so much death in America. I mean, it's one of the reasons. Because if you go to the hospital, I mean, Governor Cuomo, I think, was saying that there were some hospitals where 80% of the people on ventilators were dying. Obviously, if you go in to help patients with ventilators, you're supposed to use your PPE once and throw away. You're not supposed to use the same PPE again and again just because the patient's unconscious, right? It doesn't matter if the patient is conscious or unconscious, on a ventilator or not on a ventilator, they could get infected. Obviously, the patients on ventilator are far weaker than patients not on ventilator because obviously you have a machine breathing for you for a reason. But they don't have to die like that. 80% don't have to die. I mean, out of 100, 80 people don't have to die if they don't get infection. As I said, in the intensive care unit, most of the patients who die because of infection. So when I start working at MedStar, Georgetown University Hospital, if they hire me, hopefully they will. The most important thing I have to watch for is infection. That is the number one thing I have to watch for. Every ICU nurse. And you're telling us to keep reusing PPE? Obviously, it's not nurses' fault, doctors' fault that the patients are dying from infection. It's the politicians' fault because they're forcing us to use the same PPE, not giving us new ones. Yes, President Trump, you would be guilty of that. I mean, you're not trying to kill people, but if you don't produce 1 trillion PPEs, then somebody would die. Like many, many people would die just because there aren't enough PPEs. That alone will kill. Let's say if there are 1 million patients who die by August, at least 100 to 200,000 of those who died would not have died if there were enough PPEs. At least, maybe more. At least. So if you have 1 million patients dying, 200 or more patients would not have died if you gave us, the nurses, enough PPE so we just throw away after one use. Then 200,000 people would not have died just because of that alone. It's like washing hands. Just because of washing hands and using hot water and boiling the clothing and the bed sheets, that alone saved so many lives. And you're telling us to use the same PPE, same N95 mask the whole day. I mean, no wonder people are dying. It goes against the very principle of nursing that Florence Nightingale emphasized, that is cleanliness, right? Sterility. You can't have sterility if you're reusing PPE. That goes against the fundamental ethical principle of nursing, which is keep everything sterile, keep everything clean. But we don't have any choice. Nurses don't have any choice. Doctors don't have any choice because you force us to reuse PPE. So it's not our fault. We know what's happening because we're experts. But you're telling us to reuse PPE. You're not giving us enough PPE. So it's not our fault. We're there to treat the patients. We're not there to create PPE. Manufacturers have the duty to create PPE. Politicians have to make sure that we have enough PPE, right? By using laws or whatever. So if politicians are not doing their job, factories are not doing their job, of course people are going to die. The nurse's job is not to make PPEs or make laws. or enforce laws or enforce policy. It's not nurses' job. Nurses are going to do their job very faithfully, as they always do. But if you're going to make nurses reuse PPE, then patients would definitely die. It's like 2 + 2 is 4. They would definitely die. Because, I mean, geez, is 2 + 2 4? Yes. If you reuse PPE, are patients going to die? Yes. It's 100% guaranteed. It's not even 99% guaranteed. It's 100% guaranteed that more people will die. So as I say, and I think I'm being very conservative, Dr. Fauci, if you think I'm wrong, correct me. Send me an email or whatever, or say it on national TV. Heerak Kim said in his show, COVID-19 update by Heerak, that if 1 million people die and nurses were forced to reuse PPE, 200,000 of them at least die because of that, not having enough PPE. He's wrong. Say that on public, humiliate in public. I am 100% sure I'm right. And I know every single all 4 million nurses in the United States will agree with me. There isn't a nurse who will not agree with me. You know why? Because every nursing textbook says this. You go read any nursing textbook. The very first thing you learn as a nursing student in the very first class is this, Florence Nightingale, and infection control. How do you control infection? Do not reuse PPE. Do you know that before COVID, you could get fired for bringing your PPE out of the room? You could get fired if you get caught a few times bringing a gown out, mask out of the room. You get fired. When I was working at Inova Fairfax Hospital in spring semester 2020, like just a few months ago, before COVID-19 hit. There are nurses that are hired to play secret police to watch for other nurses who come out with the mask from a room, like a used mask from a room. And you know what they'll do? You get reprimanded, you could get fired. And now the politicians are telling us to reuse PPE as a policy? Are you kidding me? There will be more people dying from infection caused in the hospital setting from reusing PPE than dying directly from the infection of COVID-19. Just watch. And whose fault is that? It's a fault of the politician. It's fault of the manufacturers who refuse to produce 1 trillion PPE per day. So yes, President Trump, you do have to bear the blame. If there are nurses who say we don't have enough PPE, then they don't have enough PPE. They don't have a political agenda. They're not trying to sink your election. They may hate you, but they're not going to use this to sink your election. If the nurse is saying there is no PPE, then there is no PPE. They're not doing this to ensure that you lose your election. President Trump, you can lose your election if millions of Americans die, right? I mean, you could lose your election. So it's in your interest to find a way to produce 1 trillion PPE per day. But what I'm saying is, even if nurses hate you, and a lot of nurses hate you, President Trump, because a lot of nurses are Democrats, when they say they need PPE, they need PPE. They're not lying about that. They're not saying that because they hate you. They're saying this because it's the truth. I like you, President Trump. I voted for you in 2016. I'm planning to vote for you again in 2020. And I'm telling you, there are not enough PPE. There's no matter what you say to all the nurses, 4 million people are either going to think you're ignorant because you're saying that there's enough PPE, or that you're a liar. And most of them probably will think you're ignorant because you're not a nurse. You're not like a doctor. So you're not trying to be maliciously like evil in not providing PPE. You probably think, oh, everybody's enough PPE because there's like 1 billion PPE. No, 1 billion is not enough. As I said, There has to be 1 trillion new PPE produced every day. Before 1 trillion PPE are produced every day, that's 30 trillion in 30 days. You cannot say there's enough PPE. I've done the calculations. If 1 trillion PPE are not produced per day, there is not enough PPE in the United States of America. It's very simple. Do you know that when I worked at Innova Fairfax Hospital this spring, in a typical day, guess how many PPE I use? Just guess. Like in one day. And I'm only working like 8 hours, because I'm a student, master's study student. In 8 hours, and even in 8 hours, it's not full 8 hours because I have lunch break and we have like conferences with our nursing professors and stuff like that. So let's say in like 6 hours. In 6 hour period, you know how many PPE I use? Let me give you an example. I'm taking care of like 4 patients or 3 patients. 3 patients, you get this, I go to Innova Fairfax Hospital by 6:30 a.m. We're supposed to meet our professor at 6:45. Wake up at 4:30 to shower, get ready, get everything set, and arrive there generally by 6 or 6:30. I try to get there by 6 because, in case there's traffic or whatever, I don't want to be late. So I try to get there by 6, and then, if there's traffic or a car accident, that won't delay me. I have my coffee there, and then by 7, we're going into the rooms. So 7 a.m., the nurse who's kind of mentoring me and we would get what we call nurses report from the previous nurses who took care of the patients. So let's say there are 4 patients. You have like either 4 different nurses who take care of the patients, or maybe the same nurse took care of all 4 patients. Generally, it's not that way. But each patient will have a nurse from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. They work 12-hour shift, give a report about what happened during the 12 hours. So my nursing mentor and I will hear this out. We write things down, all the important data, and then we'll go in to see the patients. So I go in. The very first thing I do, obviously, is wash my hand, with alcohol or soap, wear a glove, and if the patient has MRSA or some kind of infection control, you have to wear a gown or mask. So we go in. So let's say all 4 patients are like COVID patients or whatever, or MRSA patients. We didn't have any COVID patients because this was before that. But let's say I have 4 patients who are MRSA patients. I have to wear my yellow gown, I have to wear my gloves, I have to wear my mask, and I go in, right? So at 7 a.m., I have to go into each patient's room to see how they are. So I'm just kind of making the rounds. I go in, see, I come out. I go in for 2 minutes. I have to wear a mask, I have to wear a gown, I have to wear a glove. I go in, I check on the patient and I say, hello, how are you? I'm your nurse for the day. It's just basic, simple instruction. Before I come out, I have to throw everything away. The gloves, the gown, and the mask. Even though I was there for 2 minutes just to introduce myself. I do that with 4 different patients in 4 different rooms. So now I've thrown away 4 masks, 4 sets of gloves, 4 sets of gowns, if they're all MRSA patients or contact protection patients. And I've spent 2 minutes with each one just to say hello, introduce myself, see if they need anything before starting anything serious. And then I come out, I have to throw everything away. If I bring anything out, there are these secret nurses who are hired for the day to check to see if anybody's breaking infection control. You could get written up. And if you get written up, reprimanded, you could get fired for bringing your PPE out of the room, even though you were there for 2 minutes. You can't bring it out. because that's infection control. Because if you bring that out, that could kill somebody. So we throw everything out, and then we come out. Now, obviously, we just said hello to all the patients. We have to go back in to do stuff. Do you see what I'm saying? So I go in to one patient. Now I'm going to check the patient. So I'm wearing the same, I may wear a new mask, new glove, new gown. I go in, and the first thing we do generally is check vital signs, heart rate, blood pressure, temperature, pulse ox, so we check these things. And let's say somebody pushes a call bell, another patient, one of these 4 patients pushes a call bell saying that they need something. You have to come out and see that patient. So ideally, you're there doing everything, but somebody pushes a call bell, you have to go to that patient. So you have to take the mask off, throw it in the trash can, throw a gown, take the gowns off, throw it in the trash can, glove, throw it in the trash. You've been there like what, 5 minutes, 7 minutes? And then you go out to go see what the patient needs. Before going into the room, if it's contact protection, or like the patient has MRSA or whatever, like something like COVID, you have to wear a new mask, new glove, new gown, and go into the other patient's room. And you have to ask the patient, are you rang the call bell? Is there something I could do for you? And the patient is saying, oh, I'm sorry, I pushed that by mistake. I thought I was pushing the TV channel. And then you have to smile and say, oh, okay, it's fine, no problem. Then before you leave the room, you have to take the mask off, you have to take the glove off, you have to take the gown off, you have to throw all of them in, even though you were there like for 10 seconds. Because you can't yell from the door, you have to go inside. And you have to keep the doors closed to infection control. So you go out, and then you go back into the first patient's room. You have to wear a new mask, new gown, and new gloves. And you go in, and then you start assessing. You have to listen to their heart with your stethoscope. You have to listen to their lungs. You have to check their neurological status. If they have edema, fluid collecting in some part of their body. So it takes a longer period. And if somebody else pushes call bell, you have to go out and then come back in. And it's not even 30 minutes yet. How many gowns have we used that it's not even been 30 minutes? You've stopped in for 2 minutes each, right? So 4 sets of gowns, 4 sets of gloves, 4 sets of 4 sets of gloves, 4 gowns, 4 masks thrown away in the first 8 minutes. And then 3 sets, right? So you have 7 sets in this story that I'm telling you, 7 sets within 30 minutes. Do you see why I'm saying you need 1 trillion PPEs? So whenever politician says nurses have enough PPE, that's just a lie. It doesn't matter who's saying it, Republican, Democrat, Independent. As I said, if you're not making 1 trillion PPE per day, you're not making enough. That is no lie. And so the absolute priority right now for President Trump, if he wants to win the election of 2020 in November, is to find a way to produce 1 trillion PPE. That is number one, the easiest and the fast way to prevent death. Do you want to have death rate going out of control? It's in your personal interest, President Trump, Vice President Pence, to produce 1 trillion PPE if you want to win the election in November. This election is yours to lose, and you will lose if people keep dying. And they will keep dying without enough PPEs. So if you don't make enough PPE, just count on you losing the election in November. I can't see you, President Trump, winning the election in November without enough PPE. It's impossible for you to win. You cannot win. This is a coronavirus that's killing people. Look at this, 2,000 per day today, right? So yesterday and the day before was just a fluke. So average rate seems to be 2,000 per day or more. This is going to continue to November, President Trump. There's no way you're going to win this election if you do not create enough PPE. It's in your personal and political interest to create this. No amount of small business loans, no amount of, because business is not going to improve. There's no way business is going to improve, right? I mean, you have to just, you could try, or you should try, you're the president, but you cannot count on business improving. It will not improve. Even if 100% of Americans who are at home go back to work, business is not going to improve by November. So you have to work with areas that you can work with, right? So obviously you want to give the image that you're trying to work on the economy, and obviously working and trying to work on the economy itself gives you some bonus points, some brownie points, but you cannot count on the economy to help you win. That's not guaranteed. If you are seen as providing enough PPE, even the nurses who hate you will praise you. It's as simple as that. Because they know you saved their life. I'm predicting that 10,000, I'm predicting that 1 million nurses, 1 million US citizens will die by August, and 10,000 nurses will die by Christmas at the current rate. So if President Trump and Vice President Pence find some way, become a dictator and force all the companies to produce PPE, whatever you do, but if you reach 1 trillion PPEs per day, and nurses cannot complain because there's more than enough in every hospital, then nurses who hate you will vote for you. I'm not all of them, but I would say out of 100 nurses who hate you, I would say at least 30 to 40 nurses will vote for you because you strong arm every company to produce PPE for them. And if they are alive by November, they know that it's you who saved their life. And they will vote for you even if they hate your guts, just because they have a conscience. And as a nurse, they know that they go to the stock room and there's like enough PPE. They never run out. They know it's because of you, and they will vote for you. You have landslide victory. Because nurses will vote for you. No nurse can criticize you about the mass counts because there's more than enough in every hospital. You will win by a landslide just by providing enough PPE, because throughout 50 states, there will not be a nurse who complains. And obviously, you could use the Trump team to highlight this reality, and no one can object to it because they would be lying. If you make 1 trillion PPE per day, and obviously you want to advertise it every day. I made 1 trillion PPE per day. That's why people did not die as much, and I would obviously recommend you broadcast that every second, every day, if you pull it off. But number one priority is for you to produce the PPE, because without that, people are going to die. Nurses are going to die, patients are going to die. Infection control is principle number one in healthcare setting to save people's lives. So yes, Republican nurses will blame you, President Trump. Democrat nurses will blame you. Nurses who voted for you and plan to vote for you in 2020, they will blame you if they go to the stockroom and they don't see any PPE. I guarantee you that. They may vote against you just because they live in fear of their life every day. Because they open that PPE room and there isn't any. Yeah, they'll probably vote against you. I would say 100 nurses who voted for you in 2016, if they open the PPE room and they don't see PPE consecutively for 30 days, they'll probably vote against you. Like at 100, at least 60 will vote against you just because of that. At least 60, maybe 80. And there are 4 million nurses, and probably at least 1 million of them voted for you in 2016. There's not a lot of Republican nurses, evangelical Christian nurses. But yeah, you're playing with their life. If you're not providing enough PPE, you're playing with their life, and that goes for Governor Cuomo too. A lot of nurses are going to vote against you in the next election. All the Democrats, because they don't have enough PPE, and they blame whoever is the leader in the state. They're going to blame, right? If there aren't enough PPE, and in reality, more people will die if there are not enough PPE. That's just the way it is. You cannot skimp and save on infection control, because you will die without infection control. Now, so that's a very important point that I'm saying. And so I want you to win, President Trump. So this is why I'm saying it to you, because I don't think your advisors are telling the truth. I don't think Dr. Fauci is telling you the truth like the way I am, because Dr. Fauci is afraid you're going to fire him. I'm not afraid you're going to fire me. I'm not running as a Republican candidate. I'm running as an independent. And my value in life is that I'm a Christian. That gives me value. Whether I win or lose, that has no impact on the way I view myself or the way I love myself, because my value is in Jesus Christ, right? I'm happy because I'm a Christian, and then I have salvation in Jesus Christ, that I'm born again through his blood on the cross. That gives me joy. That gives me value. I don't need anything else for my joy. I don't need anything else to feel good about myself. Jesus, I only need Jesus. That's all I need. I want to become a U.S. congressman to help you, to help the American people. I mean, geez. I mean, it's a lot of work, I mean, if I become a U.S. congressman, I may not be able to do, bachelor in Poland if I'm not married by January, or continue my bachelor in Poland. Like, watch yesterday's episode for Bachelor in Poland. I mean, that's very fun. I like that. I like Bachelor in Poland. So if I'm not married by January, I could have like sequel to that. But, I'm willing to give all that up to help the American people during the time of COVID, which is going to continue probably past year 2022, 2 years from now. I mean, I'm running for U.S. Congress to help American people. I mean, geez, you need me. I don't really need you. I mean, every voter in Virginia's 8th district, I don't need you. You need me. Let's get this straight. I mean, if I don't get elected, does that change my relationship with Jesus? No. I mean, geez, I'm happy now. I was happy. I'm always happy because I'm a Christian. I don't need anything else to feel good about myself. So, yeah, Jesus is all you need. That's why I'm telling you, believe in Jesus, be born again. If you're truly born again, I mean, that's all you need. Obviously, you should work hard to get stuff and do stuff, achieve stuff. But at the end of the day, Jesus is all you need. And I've been around the world, and I've seen this. I've seen this with people, right? People of all races, all social classes, education levels, those who are truly born again Christ, Jesus is all they need. They don't really need anything else. I mean, they have other things, but their true joy comes from Jesus, And so, I mean, if you're not a true Christian, you will not understand. I believe you're a true Christian, President Trump, so I believe that you understand what I'm saying. But if you're not a true Christian, then you're not going to understand what I'm saying. So, because you're not experiencing it, it's not part of your experience. So, yeah. So, anyway, while I'm at this topic, I received a letter back from Virginia Board of Elections. I wrote to them several times and called them, emailed them, saying that you should waive the requirement for 1,000 signatures to be on the ballot for November 2020 election, because Virginia Governor Northam issued a stay-at-home order from March 30th to June 10th, and the deadline for submitting 1,000 signatures is June 9th. I can't get signatures from door to door with my volunteers because it's illegal to do that when there's a stay-at-home order. So I wrote to the Board of Elections, Virginia Board of Elections, saying, let's please waive this in light of COVID-19 and the executive order by the governor. And Virginia Board of Election said they don't have the legal authority to do that. So if you want me to be your U.S. congressman and you need me, you should contact Virginia Board of Elections and find a way to get me on that ballot. You better find a way to get me on the ballot. I mean, just your future depends on this. My becoming your leader will change your destiny for the better. Destiny of your children, your parents, your grandchildren. So you better find a way to get me on the ballot, right? The deadline for the petition of signatures is June 9th. So, I mean, there's still time. I'm an official candidate for U.S. Congress. I'm registered with Federal Election Commission. I'm registered with U.S. House of Representatives, the clerk of the U.S. House of Representatives. I'm officially registered. But to get me on the ballot, I need 1,000 signatures by the laws of Virginia. This is a Virginia law. And so you Virginians have to find a way for me to get me on the Virginia ballot. I'm an official candidate, but Governor Northam, who's a Democrat, who's a friend of Don Beyer, who's a Democrat, U.S. Congressman in Virginia's 8th District, Arlington, Alexandria, Falls, Church, and Fairfax County, they're playing this Old Boys Network and playing dirty politics to try to push me out of the ballot. So you have to find a way to get me on the ballot. I mean, it's impossible to collect 1,000 signatures now with stay-at-home order and COVID-19 and rising Virginia deaths from COVID. So you have to find a way. Call Governor Northam, call Virginia Board of Elections, get me on the ballot for your sake and the sake of your children and your grandchildren. Yeah, so you have something to do tomorrow, this week. Now, let's go to the death. There's 1,962 deaths in the last 24-hour period in the United States. So yesterday we had 80,378 total deaths from COVID. Today we have 82,340. Confirmed cases are remaining constant. 1,347,151 yesterday. About a little bit more than 20,000 went up. It's been 20,000, 30,000 every day generally. To 1,369,314. Now, before looking at the states, you see the photographs of graduation. That's also from 2019 graduation. And they are my friends from Bible study. At Georgetown, I go to some Bible studies and to encourage them to bring non-Christians, make sure that leaders stay focused on the Bible, respect Romans 1. So I go to Bible study, and that this is from Chi Alpha. Chi Alpha is Assemblies of God Bible study for college campuses. So Georgetown University has Chi Alpha, and so I try to go to Chi Alpha meetings whenever I can. And so there are two siblings, brother and sister. I think they're twins. And the sister's name is Elizabeth Morris. And you see her on the photo on the left. She's standing right next to her mother and her father, who's next to my friend Michael Kuhn, who's a student at Georgetown, undergraduate student, who is a student leader at Chi Alpha Bible study. And then I'm there. And then those two are also graduating with Elizabeth, and they are, class of 2019. Elizabeth had a gown on; she took it off for the photo. And the photo in the center, that's Elizabeth's brother. Elizabeth's brother is William Morris, and he is currently a first-year law student at Stanford Law School. He's very bright. He was one of the student leaders at Chi Alpha, and he's a great guy. I'm sure he's going to be a great lawyer. I hope he becomes a Supreme Court justice, illegalize gay marriage and abortion, overturn Roe versus Wade. That's what I'm hoping. But let's see. Chi Alpha is Assemblies of God, and Assemblies of God supports illegalization of homosexuality, gay marriage, and abortion. It's an evangelical denomination. And so Pat Robertson is Assemblies of God, that kind of quote brand of Christianity, and Oral Roberts University. And you may be going to Assemblies of God Church. They're the fastest growing church in South America and Central America. So a lot of Latinos are Assemblies of God. So they're from Dallas, Texas. And Elizabeth is working for PricewaterhouseCoopers in Dallas. So she's amazing. She was at the business school, and William was in the college, Georgetown College of Arts and Sciences. Elizabeth did some amazing stuff at the McDougall School of Business at Georgetown. And William did amazing things too. And they both love Jesus, and they've done a lot for Jesus Christ at Georgetown. So I'm glad that they're being blessed materially as well. It's said that undergraduate students, class of 2020, will not have the joy of experiencing all this fun and excitement and festivities at Georgetown graduation in 2020. I mean, there's going to be like a Zoom type of. It's not going to be Zoom. It's going to be like Facebook Live graduation ceremony on like Friday and Saturday. There's several graduation ceremonies this week. And you go to Georgetown website to check them out, because I think anybody could view these Facebook Live events. But it's really sad. I feel so bad for everybody. I feel bad for you guys. I feel bad for myself. It's my graduation after working like a dog for 2 years full time. Fall semester, spring semester, summer semester. Oh, geez, all I did is study for this program because I want to be a good clinical nurse leader and save lives. Yes, I worked hard, so I was like looking forward to all the celebration, but God, I guess God wanted to take this away from everyone. I don't complain. God giveth and God taketh away. Thanks be to God. That's what Job said, right? Job in the Bible, he was a billionaire, and Satan wanted to test Job's faith. So Satan went to God and said, I bet if Job wasn't a billionaire, lost everything, he'll reject you and curse you. So let me test him. And God's like, okay. God could be kind of mean. I'm telling you, God is mean. He created eternal damnation and hell. Everybody talks about how loving God is. God is love, but God is mean. I'm telling you, don't get in the wrong side of God. And Job never got on the wrong side of God. God was just capricious, and God allowed Satan to do whatever he wanted to Job except for kill him. So you know what Satan did? Go read Book of Job. Satan killed all of his children. Yes, I'm not kidding. Read Book of Job. Satan killed every single one of Job's children. Satan put the spirit of adultery into the heart of Job's faithful wife who loved him unconditionally. But Satan put the spirit of adultery, harlotry, into Job's wife, who loved him and was faithful to him all her life. Because Satan put the spirit of adultery into Job's wife, she ran away with another guy. Yes, God allows Satan to do this to your wife. So, don't get on the wrong side of God. Your wife who can be totally faithful to you, a husband, can become a whore tomorrow. If Satan puts the spirit of harlotry, whoredom, unfaithfulness into your wife, yeah, she could cheat on you tomorrow. God could let him do that, Satan. Yes, that's why fear of the Lord is beginning of wisdom. Don't get on the wrong side of God. God does all kind of mean things. Just read the Bible. God is mean. God is mean. Don't mess with God. That's why God says, fear of the Lord is beginning of wisdom. God never says, love of the Lord is beginning of wisdom. Because if you love the Lord, you may be like relaxed and act relaxed and piss off God, excuse the French, make God angry. And then God's going to allow Satan to put the spirit of prostitution into your wife, and she's going to cheat on you with your best friend just because God's upset at you. God's mean. Yeah, I wouldn't mess with God. I'm telling you, don't mess with God. Yeah, I love God with my heart, mind, and soul, but I also live with a healthy fear and respect of God because God is mean. Bible shows that. If a preacher says God loves you unconditionally, he's lying to you. He hasn't read the Bible in a long time. That's why he's lying to you. Or maybe the spirit of Satan is in him. Any preacher who says God loves you unconditionally, he's a liar. I wouldn't trust him. It contradicts the Bible. Yeah. So I do not trust any preacher who says God loves unconditionally. That's a lie. Yeah, never trust that preacher. Yeah, trust the Bible. Don't trust the human, especially when it contradicts the Bible. So yeah, but yeah, so live in healthy fear of God. Don't be careful around God. Don't just like act like he's like your slave. God's not your slave. God is our God is an awesome God. Yeah, so treat him like that, with respect. Yeah, and that goes for all of you Christians, evangelical Christians especially, because sometimes you treat God like your slave. Like, yeah, don't treat God like that. It's disrespectful. So, we do need to go back again because we do need, yeah, I was like eager to go to the next one, but you got a small preview and glimpse there. But the problem is this, right? Look at United States. New York is number one. And this time we have the top 5 cases in the US. New York has 338,485 cases. They have 27,284 deaths. So it's about 8%, right? If we're to kind of look at it without using a calculator, it's like 8% of New Yorkers who are getting COVID are dying. New Jersey has almost actually less than half the cases at 140,917. And they have 9,531 deaths. So they are, they are like around 8% as well, right? So when they get to, or maybe a little bit lower than 8%, but when they get to around 338,000 cases, which is more than double, the death rate will more than double, right? To around 20,000. So that's coming probably before July. I would say probably by June, New Jersey will have over 20,000 at the rate they're going right now. And they're not open yet. So once they start opening, maybe if they open without N95 mask, you may see 50,000 deaths by same period. No, we don't know. Well, let's see. Although it's lags, like if they open, you'll see the impact 30 days later. So probably by August, you'll see like if they open up in June, for 30 days, you're not really going to see it. So you will see in July. You'll start seeing it in July, and then you'll see more of it in August. So that's how it works, right? It's like the COVID death lag behind about 30 days. So yeah, I wouldn't open up without a 95 mask. I just wouldn't. I support opening up US. I think we should open up certain business sectors, but not without N95 mask, not without 1 trillion Well, I mean, you could start opening up without 1 trillion per se, but you need to calculate that that's going to kill people. So if you have more than enough, the death rate would be lower. It's not going to be gone because even with N95 masks, you could get infected because you have to eat food at some point, right? You have to go to the bathroom and eat food. So the moment you're kind of like playing around with your mask, your hand may have COVID on it, you'll get infected. Like if you're at work for 8 hours, you have the mask on, but you're touching, floor and desk, forget to wash your hand, and then you take the mask off and you're touching your mouth or eyes, you will get it, COVID, right? It's highly infectious virus. And that's why the safest place is your home, obviously. That's why there's a stay-at-home order. But yeah, so I mean, if you're gonna open up, you have the freedom to open up, just know that a lot of people are gonna die. Just don't lie to yourself, don't lie to other people. People are gonna die. That's the science. And God's not going to protect you because, as I said, God is judging America for supporting gay rights. So don't count on God to protect you when you go to work. He's not going to protect you. Until America legalizes gay marriage and homosexuality, God's not going to protect any Christian who go to work. So don't count on it. Yeah, I would confidently say, as someone who knows the Bible, as an expert in the Bible, who believes in the Bible, because there are experts in the Bible who don't believe in the Bible. I believe in the Bible. I would say 100% of evangelical Christians should know that none of them will be protected by God when they go to work. Yeah, I mean, you may be protected when you go to church, but you're not going to be protected when you go to work. It's different, very different. And evangelical Christians who go to church to worship on Sunday because your governor allows it, if you have sinned that you didn't repent for, I guarantee you're going to get infected with COVID and die. I'm gonna start looking at the figures, but I'm counting on at least 20 to 30% of evangelical Christians who go to church on Sunday to die because they probably did not repent for some sin, secret sin, some sin that they don't recognize as sin. Like for example, if you support gay marriage, that's sin. Just supporting it, gay rights, that's sin. So it doesn't matter how much you love Jesus. If you say gay rights is okay, and that's sin. Just saying that is sin. It's sin against Romans 1. Then you're going to die. Yeah. So you're going to get COVID and die. God's not going to protect you. So God will protect Christians who go to worship service if you condemn gay marriage and homosexuality as sin. That should be legalized according to Romans chapter 1 and the book of Deuteronomy. But if you do not love God with your mind and submit to God's law with your mind, and say that it should be legalized, then I guarantee you're going to get infected. Yeah, so I expect at least 20 to 30% of evangelical Christians who go to church to die from COVID. I expect it, probably much more than that, because there are a lot of evangelical Christians who are sinning against God by saying, let's keep gay marriage. Yeah, that's sin. Yeah, that's sin against Romans chapter 1. So you will get COVID and die if you go to church thinking that. Yeah, because you gotta love God with your mind, your heart, and soul. If you think that it's okay, then you're sinning against God because you're not loving God with your mind to submit to Romans chapter 1 and Deuteronomy. So I'm just saying, I mean, you should know, right? I'm giving you fair warning. So don't complain to God and say, how could you do this to me, God? How could you do this to me, God? I love you. I went to church on Sunday to worship you. Why did I get COVID? Why did my wife get COVID and die? Well, it's because you violated Romans 1 with your mind. Bible says love God with your mind, soul, and with your heart, mind, and soul. If with your mind you say it's okay to have gay marriage legal, then you're sinning against God with your mind. And you could die for that sin. So I wouldn't go to church if you think gay marriage is okay with your mind. Because your mind is corrupted and it's sinning against God. And God will kill you with COVID for that in his house. So if you think it's okay to have gay marriage, I say stay away from church. Because you're going to get COVID and die. Yeah. So don't, because you heard this from me, don't say, God, you're unjust, you're unfair. Why me, God? I told you what's going to happen, right? I told you what's going to happen. So I said, if you want to live and you think gay marriage is okay, you better just hide out in your home. Don't go to church. You're going to get COVID. Okay, because God punishes for sin. Wages of sin is death. And more you allow yourself to have the opportunity to be infected by COVID, your chance of being punished for your sin goes up. Yeah. But anyway, God works through the system of nature to punish people. So that's why people have free will, right? You have the free will to go to church, not to go to church. If your heart is pure and you have submitted to God's word and thought, word, and deed, and you have repented for every sin, then you go to church. Yeah. But, there are some sins that God tolerates. For example, like Moses committed first-degree murder against an Egyptian and did not repent, but God did not kill him because it's not as serious as homosexuality. So, yeah, I wouldn't. Homosexuality is something that I would not mess with. Yeah, I mean, God could overlook a lot of different sins. Like Abraham committed sin with Hagar, Sarah's wife. He raped her and never repented. God did not kill him. Yeah, there's some sins God would, like sin of rape, God can overlook. But God will not overlook homosexuality. And I say this from the Bible because God overlooked Abraham's rape of Hagar. So that I'm just giving you the Bible. I'm not like creating anything. God's not a feminist. And so you may get angry that God overlooks rapes, but God overlooked many rapes in the Bible. Like he doesn't, it's not that serious to God. I mean, it is serious, but not that serious. Like homosexuality is different. God is very intolerant. I mean, just look at every instance where there are homosexuality in the Bible and see how intolerant God is. God allowed Moses to commit first-degree murder, and God never punished Moses for that. Although some say the reason that God did not allow Moses to enter the promised land, Canaan, he looked at it from Jordan, but he couldn't enter it. Some theologians say it's because of that first-degree murder that he committed, that God did not allow him to enter the promised land. So some theologians say that that's not said really in the Bible explicitly, but God did not that could be a punishment, but there are a lot of Christians who committed first-degree murder in the Bible, like believers. Like Moses is a Christian, right? Because in the Old Testament, you look toward Jesus Christ to be saved. In the New Testament, you look back at Jesus Christ to be saved, right? Like we look back at Jesus Christ and we are saved. In the Old Testament, they look forward to Jesus Christ and got saved. So they're all Christians, Old Testament and New Testament. Yeah, there's a lot of adultery and rapes, even among patriarchs. And God was willing to tolerate that, like not punish them right away for them. Or sometimes God didn't even punish them at all for that. But homosexuality is completely different. I wouldn't mess with that. I mean, you shouldn't commit adultery. Obviously, you should not commit rape. Obviously you should not. But I'm saying what God is willing to do. God will definitely punish for homosexuality. He doesn't always punish for first-degree murders, rapes, adultery. That's just in the Bible. Like, look at all the patriarchs. How many of them committed adultery? So, yeah. So I'm not saying go and commit adultery. Don't commit adultery because God could choose to punish you for that. But looking at the trends, God often overlooks, adultery and stuff like that. But God never overlooks homosexuality because it's considered an unnatural sin in Romans chapter 1. Read Romans chapter 1 to understand God's attitude. And God says, wrath of God burns against homosexuality and those who tolerate it and promote it. Try to find the Bible verse that says God's anger burns against people who commit rape or adultery. Try to find that. So I mean, you gotta be literal because like God God reveals himself through the Bible, so you have to take God's word for it. It's like in nursing. Pain is what the patient says it is, right? If the nurse asks, what's your pain level out of 1 to 10? And the patient says, pain level is 5, and the patient is smiling, you still have to put down 5 and respect what the patient is saying, because you're not the patient. Pain is whatever the patient says. Same with the Bible. If Bible says wrath of God is burning against homosexuals, then wrath of God burns against homosexuals. You gotta take God's word at its face value. God is who he says he is, like in Romans 1. Don't try to like say, no, your pain level isn't 5, you're smiling. You know, you gotta respect the patient who says their pain level is 5 out of 10. Pain is whatever the patient says it is. In the same way, when God says wrath of God burns against homosexuals, like in Romans 1, then wrath of God burns against homosexuals. I mean, you just have to take God's word at its face value, because Bible is God's word. So what you read in the Bible is God's word, so you got to take it at face value. You know, I mean, you can't explain it away. Do you see what I'm saying? So during this COVID-19, I hope that you will respect God a little bit more and take God at his face value, because God has given you his word to introduce himself to you, and you keep ignoring it. And that's not cool. Just ain't cool, right? Now, Illinois has much fewer cases, 83,021, and their death is fewer because they have fewer cases. So their death is at 3,601. So when Illinois get to around 160,000, they will have like 8,000. So not all the states have the same rate of death, obviously. It's a little bit lower in Illinois. It's higher than New Jersey. Maybe because New Jersey is closer to New York and they probably have these more violent strains of COVID, whereas Illinois is further away from New York, so they probably have just the original strains that came from New York a couple of months ago. Massachusetts have, and Massachusetts proved me correct. Massachusetts has 79,332 cases of 5,141 deaths. So fewer cases than Illinois, but more death than Illinois, because Amtrak takes mutated, more violent COVID-19 strains to Massachusetts directly in a couple hours, and they get that new and improved COVID-19 that kills Massachusetts people left and right. And that's coming to Virginia because Amtrak just restored a Cella line. So, you expect to see like spike in cases and deaths in Virginia, Maryland, and DC, thanks to Amtrak. Amtrak's trying to make money, but I'm just saying, look at it from a immunology perspective, viral spread perspective. So when Massachusetts doubles in cases, it's like 80,000 now. When it gets to 160,000, their death will be like 10,000. So they're more like New Jersey. That makes sense, right? Because New Jersey and New Jersey and Massachusetts will be getting the new and improved COVID-19 strands that kill more powerfully than Illinois, which is further away. So they're going to have fewer deaths per case. Fewer deaths for cases, right? So California, this is proving correct too, because California is further away from Illinois. So it's harder for COVID-19 strains that are new and improved in killing patients to get to California. It's just further away. And so they just probably have the original strains from like either Seattle, Washington strain, which isn't that powerful strain, or New York. So California has 70,782. They have like 2,859 deaths because they have the weaker strains in the West Coast. Because the hotspot is in New York, so they have the most mutating powerful strains. It's a science. So when California, because California and Massachusetts have similar number of cases, right? 70,000-ish. But look at the death. So COVID is more powerful in Massachusetts. Or maybe the governor of Massachusetts is more incompetent. But I think it's more science because I think everybody has stay-at-home order. So it's not like Massachusetts governor is doing more or less than California governor. They're doing about the same. And then, so when California doubles, it'll be like 4,000 or 5,000 something. So you gotta see more cases states have, more death they will have. Kind of, so it's like Virginia. When Virginia has more cases, they'll have more deaths. It just, every state will hit that. Do you see why I'm saying there will be 1 million US citizens dead by August? I mean, we already have over 82,000. Is White House kidding me? There's only going to be 135,000 deaths by August. I mean, how do you do that? I mean, have you taken math? These White House experts, what grade math did you have? And we're at 82,000. And you're saying that total number of COVID deaths by August will be 130,000? I mean, you gotta go back to elementary school. I teach 5th grade elementary school. And I'm telling you, my students in 5th grade in Anacostia neighborhood in Washington, D.C., the poorest school district, poorest neighborhood in D.C., 5th graders, my school is 100% African American, they do better math than you White House experts who are saying there's going to be 135,000 deaths by August. There's going to be 135 deaths by May. What are you talking about? I mean, geez. Yeah, stop being ridiculous. I mean, geez. I mean, it's not like 330 million Americans cannot do math. I mean, this is like first, second grade math. It's simple addition. Right? In 2 months, we had 82,000 deaths. That's average of 40,000 deaths per month. Logically speaking, we're going to have 40,000 deaths in May at this simple addition rate. Right? Even if we just use simple addition, March and April, 2 months, 82,000 deaths divided by 2, 40,000 each. May will have about 40,000 deaths. That's 120,000. So where is White House getting the figure there will be only 135,000 deaths by August? Are you kidding me? Americans are not stupid. They could do math. I mean, first, second grade math. So I recommend everybody, all the experts in White House, go back to elementary school, come to Savoy Elementary School, learn what 5th grade. I mean, that's like too high of you. You gotta go back to like 3rd or 4th grade math, or maybe 2nd grade, and redo your math because obviously you don't know math, right? You don't know math. You don't know elementary math. So yeah, something's going wrong in White House. I mean, I mean, this is serious. I mean, because the White House is I respect President Trump. I'm not blaming you for the figures because I heard, I remember you saying there could be like 200,000 deaths back in March. So, I mean, at that time, it was kind of even 200,000 seemed a lot because in March we were like few thousand deaths. We didn't have that many deaths. We were like, 4,000, 5,000. We were like, whoa. But now we have 82,000. I mean, how can you say with this, now at this point, there's going to be total of 135,000 deaths by August? Doesn't make any sense, right? It's not logical. It's not rational. I mean, geez. Maybe there's like a Republican doing dope in White House. Because I have heard Republicans are believing in legalizing marijuana. What's wrong with these people? Yeah, somebody's doping somewhere. This is a serious problem. We're not going to solve this problem by lying to ourselves. Let's get real. Let's get real. I'm about reality. I want to save American people's lives, and we're not going to save American people's lives by playing jokes with numbers. We're not going to save people's lives by saying all the nurses are lying. when they said there's not enough PPE. We're not going to save lives. I'm trying to save lives. So I'm giving you simple formulas to achieve saving American lives. Yes, it's hard to do, but you have to do them. In March, it was impractical to force companies to make PPE. And it seemed like maybe, the death won't be that much because we were like 5,000 deaths in the beginning of March. But now we have 82,000 deaths. You got to start changing your tune. You can't sing the same song when you have 5,000 deaths and when you have 82,000 deaths. You can't sing the same way. Do you agree? You got to start modifying. You got to adapt to the situation. If you have 82,000 people, that's not the same as 5,000 people dead. This, yeah, we have to be a little bit more serious about how we handle COVID, or we're going to have 50 million Americans dying from COVID in the next 2 years. 50 million. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So let's talk about something more pleasant, because I want to save your lives. So I'm like serious. I took that serious tone. But now that it is a graduation week, so there's time to cry. There's time to smile. There is time to be angry. There's time to not be angry. There's time to wage war. There's time to make peace, right? I mean, come on, we just follow the Bible and then we're okay. So, yay, happy graduation. So, since we do have to celebrate graduation, joy and celebration is part of human experience, even in the midst of tragedy. And something to be joyful about. Be born again Christians in poor countries like India. I mean, you see joy unspeakable. Martin Lloyd Jones, read his book. He's a good writer, Christian writer. Anyway, yay! So congratulations to all my cohort members, cohort 2020 CNL members, clinical nurse leaders in the making. 25 of us will be graduating. Yay! Congratulations to all my cohort members. I love you guys. So I'm really excited. Yeah, and all of us are excited. We all worked hard. We all achieved, and we're all like very happy. And Professor Kelly Anderson sent an email this morning saying, "All of you made it! Yay!" I'm paraphrasing. So it was, we're all excited. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, yeah. So let me tell you who the person is. She also graduated in 2019. She's also an undergraduate. So basically in the previous photo, Noor Laswi is graduating with master's, but William Morris and Elizabeth Morris, they had graduated with bachelor's. And this is Amanda Nemeshek, and she graduated with a bachelor's degree. She's a pre-med, so she wants to be a doctor. And she was actually in the Georgetown EMT. Yeah, so she wants to save lives like I do. And she was the president of Creative Writer Club at Georgetown. Mostly undergraduate students, but there were a couple graduate students. I tried to go every Friday. Our meetings were like from 4 to 5 p.m. on Fridays. And Amanda is a great president. And she made every meeting really, really fun. So we'd go there, write something creative and share with each other. And I love to write. I share my writing with you. And every Monday I have a COVID-19 poems by Heerak. So like every Monday, just look at the calendar, go to my Twitter account, you'll see like a poem about COVID. And I write poems on Mondays and put it on Twitter, publish it on Twitter, so that it can help you. It's like therapeutic, right? Especially because like in June, all of you are gonna see people die around you, like in Maryland, Virginia, and DC. As I was saying, I anticipate in June at least 1,000 people dying per day in Maryland, Arlington, and DC. What we call the DMV area, we're gonna have like 1,000 dying per day, like in June and July. So expect it. Is gay marriage legal? Yes. So expect it. Yeah, because as I said, COVID-19 is God's punishment of America for legalizing gay marriage and proliferating homosexuality. And because evangelical Christians tolerate it, God is killing evangelical Christians. Yeah, you're going to die even if you're evangelical Christian. God's not going to protect you. Yeah, fear of the Lord is beginning of wisdom. You're not fearing the Lord, right? Obviously, because you're tolerating homosexuality and gay marriage. Yeah, so expect to get it and die. All you evangelicals expect to get COVID and die. You and your children and your parents and your grandparents. If you don't want to legalize gay marriage in your mind, God reads your mind, then yeah, expect to get COVID and die. Yeah, you should expect it. Now, um, National Council of Teachers English I belong to National Council of Teachers English. And so it's a professional association of all the teachers and professors of English in the United States of America in all 50 states and U.S. territories of Puerto Rico and Guam, and all the other places that's like U.S. territory, and teachers who teach in embassies. And American schools throughout the world. So National Council of Teachers of English is an American professional organization of English experts and also writers. There's a lot of writers also teach. And so I'm a member, and I'm actually a board member of the Standing Committee on Global Citizenship. So if you go to ncte.org blog, you can read my blogs. I wrote a blog for April on COVID-19. I have an original poem on COVID-19 there, so check it out. You could also access my NCTE blogs through my website, www.heerakforcongress.com, and you see the website on the screen. The president who of NCT is the blonde lady at the center. You see Baltimore. The conference for 2019 was in Baltimore, Maryland, at the convention center. And so she's the president, and she's a professor of English at Dordt College, D-O-R-D-T College, which is a college in Iowa, state of Iowa. And it's a college of the Christian Reformed Church, CRC. And Calvin College or Calvin University in Grand Rapids, Michigan is also a Christian Reformed Church. So Christian Reformed Church is also known as Dutch Reformed Church, because when Dutch people immigrated from Holland to America, they started Dutch Reformed churches in America. So Holland is mostly Dutch Reformed. And Reformed means Calvinist. So a Reformed or Calvinist church in Scotland is called the Presbyterian Church. Reformed or Calvinist church in France is called the Huguenot Church. Reformed church in Holland is called Dutch Reformed or Calvinist Church. And Reformed or Calvinist Church in Germany is called the German Reformed Church. So you see, so when Dutch people came over to America, and New York was originally known as New Amsterdam, as you know, the Puritans first went to Holland and then came over, and they were Calvinists, English Calvinists, Puritans. And so after Puritans went from England to Holland, they came to America, to Massachusetts area. And a lot of their friends from Holland went to New Amsterdam, New York, current New York area. There are a lot of wealthy Dutch Calvinists, because they came like at the time of Mayflower, right, or soon after that. And so the president of National Council of Teachers English is a professor of English at Dordt College, which is a Christian college, member of the Christian Colleges of the United States of America. That includes Liberty University, Oral Roberts University, Biola University in California. These are all evangelical. Dordt College is an evangelical college. I think last year's president of National Council of Teachers of English was a professor at Harvard University, English professor at Harvard. So the best English experts from the United States, regardless of where they are, generally become presidents. And she's an amazing person. I really like her. I've known her for several years, and she came to Advocacy for Literacy. I do that every year. It's around April. So all the literacy experts come and we do advocacy at Washington, D.C. in the Congress and the Senate to try to encourage literacy advancement at elementary, middle school, high school, and college levels. So she's very actively involved with that, and I am too. So, you know, I've known her for a few years, so I really like her. And so we took the photo together right by the Baltimore sign. Yeah. And there were some Virginian teachers there. So Virginia's 8th district. So some of you may know the teachers that I took photo with here, who are from Virginia's 8th district, Arlington, Alexandria, Falls Church, and Fairfax County. Yeah, so maybe they teach your children right now, probably online. But so yeah, so a lot of teachers from Virginia's 8th district were there, which was good to see. So the 2 teachers at the corners at the top, they're from Virginia's 8th district. And so you may know them. Or you may know them socially because, you know, they're socially active in this area, Arlington and Falls Church. And also, Alexandria and Fairfax County. So, hi, good to see you again. I gotta call them up. I have their numbers. I've been so busy, running for campaign. Once I become a U.S. congressman, I may hit them up to do things, officially, maybe full time for my congressional office. But I was planning to meet up with them sometime in the spring, because this conference was in November, and I've been busy campaigning, and also I had that thing at National Council of Teachers of English. We had the VCTM, Virginia Council of Teachers of English Conference of VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University, that we were planning and working hard toward in March. And in December and January, I read 10 submissions to present conference papers. Actually, more than 10. I think it was 20 or 30 people presented proposals to present a research at a poster presentation at a Virginia Council of Teachers of Mathematics conference at Virginia Commonwealth University. So I was busy doing that. And then National Council of Teachers of Mathematics, they sent me articles to review for their journal. Mathematics teacher and teaching children mathematics. So I had to review those and then submit it to the editor-in-chief of the National Math Journal. So yeah, I wanted to meet up with these teachers that I met at the National Council of Teachers English meeting, but I didn't really have much time for socializing. Yeah, so and also, I've socialized with my friends at Georgetown. I'm involved. I'm the graduate student vice president government. Graduate student government vice president. I'm the president of the Georgetown Collaborative Diplomacy Initiative. And on January 24th, we had the biggest Chinese New Year celebration. We were invited by the Belgium embassy for an official visit. So I was working on that as well. And actually, that was in the fall. But yeah, we had all these events, a lot of events. And so, yeah, but anyway, I'll call you guys up sometime and we'll meet up. Right now, for the foreseeable future, I guess we can. But Anyway, keep watching my show, and tell your friends, tell your uh, you know uh, students' parents to watch this show and vote for me for U.S. Congress for Virginia's 8th District. And I also met other people who are really good. For example, there's next to the two teachers, we have a business woman. So there were several business people who tried to market literacy uh, tools for English experts, literacy and English experts. So I became friends with them. I'm a very social person. I like to get to know people and say hello. Oh, and this is the badge that I wore. So can you see? Uh, this is my badge from the conference. And I also got together with a University of Maryland, a literacy project. I don't know if you can see. So there were professors from University of Maryland who's engaged in like literacy experts. So, I mean, I like literacy and stuff and writing projects. And so, we kind of professionally kind of discuss stuff, how to advance writing and literacy in Maryland. These are like leaders in literacy, right, in America, in every state. And so, yeah, so we try to discuss ideas to improve literacy and writing and reading. And so, yeah, so, so like I enjoy meeting experts, writers, and companies, small businesses, and their big business. Random House was there, Penguin Books were there, uh, and then I met like so many writers. I don't have any photos of writers here, but I'll do another show with like all these writers I met. I'm a writer myself, so I met like dozens of writers, who have like New York Times bestseller books. Oh yeah, they were at the conference because all the writers are part of like National Council of Teachers English because they like they write, but they also like talk about their writing. Yes, I met a lot of like New York Times bestseller, like fiction writers and nonfiction writers. They're all there. So yeah, I'll do a different, show with them. But this time, I just want to kind of focus on the teachers and like and people who actually are teachers who became business people. So a lot of teachers they see the need for a certain type of way to improve reading and writing, so they start a company to do that. So a lot of these people started companies were professors in colleges or professors or teachers in elementary school, middle school, high school, or pre-K. And then some of them started while they're teaching because in the summer they have 2-3 months off, right? So they started like a kind of like a small project, which became a small business, and then it became financially viable. So then they went for a full time, hired other teachers from their school district or whatever, or their friends that they made at National Council of Teachers English. It's like a networking thing. So I networked and made a lot of friends, um, and I'm probably going to call them up if we have relevant projects at the Congress. If you elect me to go to U.S. Congress, so I have a lot of ideas, a lot of connections. Different sets of experts for different purposes that I'm going to collaborate with as a collaborative team to improve literacy with this group of people, and writing and reading and communications in America. So yeah, they're wonderful. I became friends, and yeah, it was fun spending time with them, and yeah. Oh, and also I met some college graduates from University of Texas at Austin. So those three ladies there, three girls, they uh, they graduated from University of Texas at Austin in 2019 May, and then they started teaching in different school districts in University of Texas at Austin. No, one is at the Unified, is it Unified Austin School District, the public school system of Austin. The one that I'm standing next to, she is, I think in Dallas School District. And I think the one at the other side is in Houston, Houston School District, public schools. So all three of them teach in the public school system, like Austin, Houston, and Dallas in Texas. So they're Texans, and they're wonderful. So we exchange phone numbers, and I would love to visit all of them in Texas. I was planning to see all of them this year. Well, we could still see because our conference. Yeah, I'll see all of them again in 2020. This is 2020 November. That was in November 2020. And so this year, 2020 conference is in Denver, Colorado. And our theme is Confluenza. And as you know, I'm a member of the board member for Standing Committee on Global Citizenship. So we define global citizenship for pre-K to PhD programs. So we discuss it. So I am gonna be the leader. I'm bringing together a global panel for the first time ever in the history of National Council of Teachers in English. I'm bringing together a forum discussion of global citizenship experts from all over the world, from Africa, Asia, Middle East, Latin America, Europe, into one spot in Denver, Colorado. I'm organizing it. And I don't know, I'm still thinking like, should I bring an expert from English department at Georgetown? I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking about it. I mean, I love Georgetown, but I'm at School of Nursing and Health Studies. And if I were doing a panel in nursing and health studies, I would invite like so many people from School of Nursing and Health Studies because I love all the professors and they're so amazing and I've learned so much from them. I haven't really done much in the English department at Georgetown. I don't know. I mean, I don't even know if the English department at Georgetown is that good. Is it like top 10? I don't even know if it's ranked like in top 10. I know Georgetown Nursing School is like top 10, probably like top 5. You have the University of Pennsylvania Nursing School, Johns Hopkins Nursing School, Georgetown University Nursing School. These are like the best nursing schools in America. I don't know about the English department. I tried to go to their things, so I go to their special lectures and stuff. And I like, what I hear, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know how good English department is at Georgetown. I'm sure Georgetown professors come to National Council of Teachers English, but they don't seem to play any major leadership roles. And this is the #1 professional organization for English education, like literacy education. And I don't see Georgetown professors anywhere, like anywhere, which leads me to think Georgetown English department isn't that good. And I don't know. I mean, I deal with like Harvard professor of English, the current president, Dorr professor of English, who's amazing. And so like when there's a complete gap, like you don't see Georgetown anywhere in any of these professional meetings, you start doubting how good Georgetown English department is. Sorry, Georgetown English department. I'm not trying to insult you, but I mean, I'm just telling the facts, and hopefully, more of you will get involved. I'm trying to encourage you to get involved in professional activities, because as you know, I'm an expert of Jewish studies. Being active in professional organizations is important on many levels. #1, you become better because you're involved in professional organization because you learn from other people. #2, it's a good networking opportunity. You meet powerful people in your field, and you develop your department to become powerful department in that profession. Like, so from what I see, professors at School of Nursing Studies are very actively involved with nursing professional organization, and that's why Georgetown University's nursing department is very powerful. So like those of you who are watching this show, who are doing bachelors of nursing at UVA or VCU or George Mason, do masters at Georgetown. Definitely you want to have Georgetown in there somewhere. See how much advertisement I do for you at Georgetown School of Nursing? You should like pay me to do these. I'm not getting paid at all, but I mean, geez, all the advertisement I do, I'll be like upgrading your student body, like exponentially through this show. You're so lucky that I'm running for U.S. Congress and talking about myself and my experience with the nursing school. I mean, you're so lucky. I mean, by the time I get elected in November, Georgetown Nursing School will be #1. It'll beat out University of Pennsylvania and Johns Hopkins. People can accept that Johns Hopkins and University of Pennsylvania will want to come to Georgetown because of me, my show. But anyway, yeah, but the English department, you have to shape up. I mean, I know English senators. Actually, I like the senators' English department. I really like the senator from English department. She's really nice. We went out for lunch, for dinner, and we had a good time. I was meaning to ask her out for dinner again in January, but I'm running for U.S. Congress now. And I was like so busy. I meant to like, I was gonna invite so many people for dinner, and stuff. Like they're, I'm like running around trying to campaign. I generally go to every meeting of Arlington before I start to run as an independent. I went to every meeting of Arlington. I tried to go to every meeting of Arlington GOP Republican Committee, Alexandria Republican Committee, Fairfax County Republican Committee, Falls Church Republican Committee meetings. Young Republicans, meetings. I try my best to go to all of them, if I can. And major campaigning events like GOP stuff at the state level and national level. Oh gosh, I mean, when I decided to run as an independent in February, and you could watch the video click on the video at the end. There's a link, kind of like you click on the video that's like at the left top corner. You can see why I ended up running as an independent. Yeah, I went to all the Republican activities. All the Republicans know me in this area in Washington D.C. and Northern Virginia. So I was very actively involved. Now I'm independent, but yeah. So yeah, but so I didn't get to ask Julie. Julie's her name. She's a great senator. She's very nice. We had like really fun time talking, and she's from Texas. She went to Christian University in Texas. So maybe she knows those girls. Wonder. But anyway, because I think they're all Christians. I don't know. I guess everybody's Christian in Texas. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a Texan, so I don't know how Texas is. But yeah, Julie's really, really nice. Very smart, very intelligent, and very interesting to talk to. But anyway, and very pretty too. Yeah. Anyway, and she's a very good Christian. She was sharing with me about her Christian faith, and I was like, wow, that's great. I mean, there are a lot of good Christians at Georgetown. It's a blessing. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So I hope you enjoyed this show, and I hope people in English department will get more involved in NCTE. I'm still not sure if I'm going to invite. I mean, this is going to be like the main event. It's going to be like the biggest event on global citizenship in the history of global citizenship, this forum I'm organizing. And it's going to revolutionize the discussion on global citizenship. My blog writings in NCT, they're on global citizenship because I'm a board member of the Standing Committee on Global Citizenship. And so I write blogs to define global citizenship and direct global citizenship. So I'm one of America's leading experts and leaders on global citizenship. So Georgetown University is very lucky that I'm here. I mean, I'm not as involved with the English department because I'm devoting everything to School of Nursing because I want to be the best nursing expert, clinical nurse leader that I can be. And I do most of my English activities through the professional organization, which is a national one. I mean, Georgetown is like one small university, but National Council of Teachers English. I mean, they're represented by 100% of the universities and colleges and community colleges in America. So whenever I have time to do stuff in English, I play with the big dogs. So yeah, but I mean, I should help Georgetown. I probably, I don't know. I still have to think about it because I mean, I have English department professor at University of Pennsylvania, and English department professor at UCLA that I could invite as well. I was at Harvard and Brown and Cambridge University. Well, Cambridge is well. Maybe I should invite like professor from Cambridge as an expert representative from Europe. Yeah, the conference is in November, but yeah. But anyway, yeah. So maybe I'll invite. I still have to think about it because I have so many people that I could ask. So many famous people who are experts of English literature. Anyway, yeah. But anyway, hello to everybody in the English department. I love you guys. Well, not really, because I don't know you guys. I love. I mean, I love Julie because she's such a wonderful person. But and she's in the English department. And there were people in Chi Alpha who were in the English department. Jessie Ford, she was a leader in Chi Alpha, and she started her master's in the English department. She's really nice. So I like her. Yeah, and so yeah, I think there are more Christians in the English department, and maybe there are Christian professors in the English department. I mean, maybe there are like really devout Christian professors in the English department. I should make more of an effort to. Well, I mean, now everything is closed, so it's kind of, yeah. I mean, I met English professors, in different events. I didn't get to know them very well. And there were some events that I would, English department gave me invitations for like these special events and like special dinners and special lunches. I should have gone. I mean, yeah, I should have gone to those special dinners. I was invited for these things. But there's so many things to do. I belong to so many executive board committees, and I have so many people. I rather, I enjoy spending time with Julie just alone over dinner, just talking. I mean, that's fun. And like kind of socializing with English professors and experts in the Department of English over dinner. That's like more like work. I mean, it could be fun, but it's a little bit more like work. And I mean, obviously, I want to make time to spend time with friends, like, get to know Julie. So I invited her for dinner and stuff like that, so, yeah. But anyway, yeah. So, hi, Julie. Hope everything is well. Hi, Jesse. Hope everything is well. Yeah, hi everyone. I mean, everybody's watching this show, so I want to try to say hello to everybody. Hi, Amanda in North Carolina. Hope your family is doing well. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this show, and I hope you learned something new about COVID-19 and how to survive COVID-19. Yeah, watch this show every day so that you can survive COVID-19 and learn something new. And I'm sure you find this enjoyable, right? So yeah, it's a good entertainment for you as well. So I hope that you will join us again tomorrow. All of us who are watching and me who's kind of entertaining you and providing you with information. So I hope that you will be well, and I hope that your family will be well as well. Stay safe and try not to die. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people dying from COVID in Maryland, DC, and Virginia. I'm predicting 1,000 per day starting around June. So some of you may die. Some of you watching this show may die. So, I mean, it's reality. So make sure you watch every day so you're not the one who dies. Knowledge is power. I'm trying to save you from COVID death, you and your children. So watch this show religiously every day. Uh, this show is your best chance of surviving COVID. Let's be honest here. So I'm giving you all the facts as the Leonardo da Vinci of 21st century. So you need me, and you need this show to survive COVID. So watch religiously every day. Tell your family, friends, especially your family, to watch this every day. But there's going to be a lot of people die. Let's be realistic. So check back tomorrow uh, and watch this show again tomorrow. I hope you will survive, you know, because this show was created for you. Be well.